prepare yourselves in the appropriate manner for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you wish to remain standing, caption the veranda for person.
It all works. It all works. Let's pray. Father God, we ask you tonight to be with us during this meeting, be with our leaders, be with the mayor, be with our city manager as they begin to make decisions and preparations that benefit the citizens of 29 Palms. I pray for wisdom and guidance for each one of their decisions. I know it's not easy. I pray protection and safety for themselves and their homes. Thank you for them giving their yes and stepping into this role. I pray that you protect them from harm and keep them safe and healthy. And I also pray for the people of the city of 29 Palms. Protect us from the rain and the flooding. Help us know who our neighbor is. Help us look around and step in and help one another and work in tandem with the city during these storms. We ask this in your mighty name. Amen.
Councilmember Wright,
Here.
Councilmember Scott,
Here.
Councilmember Mintz,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Here.
Mayor Bildery.
Here.
All present.
Closed session announcements, there are none. Change the agenda? None. Announcements, these proceedings may be viewed on demand on the City of 28 Palms website at www.28palms.org. You may also live stream this meeting by going to the city website and clicking on meeting agendas link. Number one.
Thank you, Mayor. This is Stone James, the City Manager. I thought I'd take a moment and update the council on, and the audience on, and the folks at home, what has gone on, starting with the July 14th rain event. And so, if we could go ahead and start that. Thank you very much. Could you advance to the next slide? So, pretty interesting situation. We have got one of our team members has really forged an excellent relationship with the National Weather Service, and as a consequence is in really constant communication with the Weather Service when we think that there could be events coming in to our city. And so the Thursday before that kind of ominous weekend, they got a report from the National Weather Service based on the best available data that there was going to be a 2% chance of a rain event on that Saturday, and then a 9% chance of a rain event on that Sunday. And so I thought it'd be appropriate to talk about tonight's presentation being 9% and 6 minutes. And so that Sunday, that event, we were told going into it that again, we had 9%, not 90, but less than 10% chance there would be a rain event. Certainly didn't understand the severity of it. National Weather Service didn't understand. And so what was interesting was I want to say it was 13:52 hours, we got a notice from the National Weather Service saying it's coming and it's going to be big. And so within 20 minutes, the Public Works Department, our IT department, who also doubles as our emergency services, they were in the field taking the appropriate steps to begin to safeguard lives. Typically what that looks like is it's shutting the storm gates on some of the different roads that have something called a low water crossing. Split Rock is one that we all know, and unfortunately we know that there were 2 deaths as the result of a flood several years ago. And so Public Works were on top of that, and IT were on top of shutting those. It takes 2 people to shut. You have to shut one on the north, one on the south. You have to coordinate that. You have to go to each one and identify, is it being impacted? Do we think it's going to be impacted? Let's take that action. I know myself, I got into the mix within about 60 minutes of this notice, helping the Public Works Department shut down Bullion Mountain, and then also Baghdad, and then just generally trying to support the Public Works efforts in posting the signs, closing roads as they fled. Next sign, please. And so what was unique about this storm was the the intensity, the path, and the duration. And so in this scenario, it really started in the west, hovered over the city, and it progressed east. And as one longtime 50-plus year resident had pointed out, this was the only storm that he could remember that it impacted, he referred to it as 7 different regions of the city. Typically, we might have a little microburst. We had a microburst a couple of days ago, or maybe last weekend, over at Lucky Park, where it was so powerful, so strong. We lost a couple of trees. We had some bleachers damaged. But really, that storm just focused on Lucky Park. Here was a situation where you had significant downpour, and it hung around, and it moved slowly across the city. And so that was one of the things that had caused the dynamic of the volume of water that entered the city. So next slide, please. So if anyone lives here, they know all too well, they've seen it firsthand, some of the impacts. And I know, unfortunately, there's probably a lot of people in the audience today who've had the actual intrusion into their homes. And so here we've got some of the different pictures just along. I want to say the top middle is Baghdad. The other one is in that Split Rock area. And you can see the power of the water, the volume of the water. Next slide, please. Here are some additional pictures. And I put these together because they just show the volume of dirt that's coming through. I know that there is a city that is a little community that's located on Celia, south of Sunny Slope. I believe it's Desert Vistas. And what's interesting is that there was so much debris, so much sand that came to the top of Desert Vistas, Sunny Slope, that the public works crew, they moved about 1,000 cubic yards. Now, I would say probably most people don't really think in cubic yards, right? 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. But I think most people can appreciate what that translates to. And that day, they took off of Sunny Slope about 100 dump trucks of sand. That's how much sand came off of that undeveloped area and collided with Sunny Slope, collided with Desert Trace. And of course, it was stopped. Obviously, some continued, went east on Sunny Slope and then down in Celia. But the volume of the dirt, it takes, almost no mention. So next slide, please. So in terms of the city staff and in terms of the progression, what occurred that first week? And so the flooding, again, we went into this thinking we had a 9% chance of a rainstorm. And the immediate was, how do we respond? And really, how do we preserve human life? And that is probably the most important thing of everything, is the fact that no one perished in this. No one got seriously hurt. And I think that is because of the level of proactivity of Public Works and IT in shutting down those roads. Next day, Monday, we began both the recovery and also the preparation. And actually, our stress was not only very high on Sunday, but the stress was for me, probably greater on Monday. The reason being is that we were being told by the National Weather Service that we didn't have a 9% chance of a storm. We had a 60 to 70% chance of a storm of equal magnitude. So what's the problem with that? So we had a dramatically impactful storm on Sunday, but there was a chance for some of that to percolate into the ground. So now we have a situation where the ground is saturated. So if we have a storm of equal strength, it will have a greater impact due to the saturation that has occurred from the day before. So you can appreciate the significant concern that we had about Monday. So thankfully, by about 1800 hours on Monday, we had realized that the storm was going to pass us, substantially pass us. It did hit. It did spend some time in the mountains. It dumped an awful lot of water. We didn't really see that much in the washes, and that was a relief. So that allowed us on Tuesday to really switch into the full-time recovery mode. So Public Works, again, and the IT director should be celebrated, should be commended for their efforts. And the amount of time they spent, all of the equipment was moving and freeing the dirt from the streets. because as obviously the council can appreciate, one of our chief roles is the fact that we have to make sure our roads are clear so residents have access to get in and get out of their homes, go to the grocery store, go to their businesses, and also so that emergency traffic can get through. Also on Tuesday, we also began it on Monday, but really Tuesday started leaning in on identifying and pulling in those resources. Red Cross had already been more or less where they were responding on Sunday, so they began their work on Sunday. Monday, we began taking an inventory of who's been impacted, what are their needs. And that's important for a couple of reasons. Number one, it helps us understand, well, we can't hit a target we don't have. So who has been impacted, what are their needs? And that helps us understand what type of resources we need to go searching for. That also helps us understand where in the city have been hardest impacted. And so we ended up working with Burtech, and as the council has seen with the communications that we started putting out on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we were able to secure 4 40-yard dumpsters. I know as early as today, working on getting additional dumpsters, and that helps with the residents who were impacted. They have a place to throw their debris, so they can, as they recover, have signs of progress, getting rid of that debris and making way for the new. So anyway, we keep going on, but it's just more of the same, more of the recovery, more of trying to get resources in. One of the things that I'm hoping will occur, and I hope this happens, and we have done everything so far to support this effort, is an organization called Team Rubicon. Team Rubicon is incredible at what they do. Their goal, they are an international organization, all volunteers, started by a couple of military guys when they responded to the Haiti disaster in 2010. 16 years later, 14 years later, they have responded now where they respond to incidents across the, or really across the globe, ex-police, ex-fire, ex-military. And I can't say it in the public here, but we'll just say kick butt civilians, as they like to call it. They use a different word, but kick butt civilians. And they come out and they will muck out people's houses completely for free. So staff yesterday, they did a great job of reaching out to all of the people who've contacted the city to identify, do you need free muck out services? And what that means is they come in and they make your home contactor ready. So they come in, they remove any carpets, they remove the drywall that's been impacted, they may remove insulation, they get all the mud out, they get any damaged or ruined furniture out, so that then you can either come in with your own drywall or have a contractor come out. And so that is a significant service. If there are people in the audience or people at home who would like to have Team Rubicon come in and help them, again, it is no cost to them. And I would merely ask that they contact City Hall, our main line, and talk to Giovanni, and she'll put the name on a list, and we will make sure that Team Rubicon is notified. I'm hoping to get the green light that they will be able to deploy this Friday. So they're scheduled to work Friday through Monday. If there are additional people who come in and say, hey, I need your help mucking out the inside of my house, then they may be able to extend their stay. But that would be a huge win for community if Team Rubicon was able to respond. Next slide, please. So this is the Adobe Punch Bowl. And when people kind of ask, can you put the severity of the storm into perspective? One of the comments that I heard that really it resonated with me was this Adobe Punch Bowl. This is north of Amboy Road, south of Raymond. This is on the way to the base. And this is flooded 3 times in 20 years. One of the things that compounded this issue, this flooding, was that multiple people defied the road closed barricades. And I think that we are going to be working more closely with the Sheriff's Department in the future, so we have deputies there to provide some very expensive citations for people who do that, because they risked the lives of the workers there. And also 2 of those vehicles, one of them struck a fire hydrant, broke the fire hydrant, and that put out about 3,000 gallons per minute of water that was of drinking water that was wasted. That added to the punch bowl. Water District did an incredible job responding. They ultimately secured that. They turned it off. They left the T-handle in place. Someone blew the barricades again that night. And out of an entire small lake, about a probably an 800,000 gallon lake, they managed to strike the T-handle and break it again. And so that added a couple of days to us being able to pump out the punch bowl and reopen Adobe. Next slide, please. So in my travels of being out in the field, of working here at City Hall and working with the team, there have been some questions that have come up. And one of the big questions is, hey, what about FEMA? Can we get FEMA in here? And that is complicated. That is something that we have had multiple conversations with our different resource agencies. Typically, the threshold for FEMA to get involved is you have to demonstrate damages in excess of $10 million. And so, if you cannot meet that threshold, then you are not able to have FEMA come in. And that's a significantly oversimplified analysis of how you engage FEMA, because we would have to declare a state of emergency. Camden OES would also have to exhaust their resources. We'd have to go to the state. State would have to exhaust their resources. And then ultimately, it would have to come literally from our governor to President Biden saying, would you please declare this a disaster so that our residents could have access to FEMA services? And oftentimes what I saw with FEMA services included low interest loans. And so it wasn't the panacea that I think some had hoped for. In addition, I've also seen situations where FEMA has taken between 3 and 10 years to pay claims. So, why haven't we engaged FEMA? Because we're still looking at that threshold. If we could hit that threshold or exceed that threshold, then it's a different story. Should we declare a disaster? That is also a complicated question. There are consequences of declaring a disaster. We declare a disaster, then homes are now inspected, and we could have a situation where homes are either red carded or yellow carded, which would make it harder for residents to deal with the impacts that they've had. So, but it is something that we have looked at, we continue to look at, and if there is a time in which it makes sense to declare a disaster, then most certainly the council has that authority to do so. But I would suggest, like you cannot unring a bell, similarly, you would just need to use caution. What is in the best interest of our residents? House debris, what I suggest is that the residents put the debris in the front yard behind the curb. So on this side of the curb, not in the street, but on the curb in their front yard. If they have excess dirt that they need to get rid of, they can go ahead and put that on the street, and then ultimately we can work on how we scoop that dirt off of the street. But that is something that can help them with their recovery. Next slide, please. So this was interesting, and I wanted to take a couple of minutes. There were actually a number of individuals and organizations that contributed to the success that we had in dealing with this event in terms of how quickly we were able to get the roads reopened. This is a picture. There's a lot going on here. It's what's kind of interesting. I've titled this 2 agencies, 3 department, 7 pieces of equipment, 1 goal. And that is just to reopen Adobe Road, to drain that punch bowl, and to have that key transportation corridor reopened. And that was the 29 Palms Water District, their team, Matt Schrag, Mike Minitry, all of their teammates, and our Public Works worked nonstop to get that done. They actually didn't get this done until about, I want to say it was 10:30 on Friday night. Actually, we had one gentleman from our organization. He is that IT person I've mentioned a couple of times. He started his day on Thursday addressing some cybersecurity threats at about 6 in the morning. And he worked the entire day doing IT and then helping Public Works. He worked that pump, and he worked that pump from Thursday afternoon until 6:30 on Friday morning before he was finally relieved. So just the dedication to getting these roads back open for the community. Next slide, please. And so I just thought I would take a moment and just briefly mention some of the people that were here for our community in this time of need. I've talked about the Water District. I've talked about Matt Schrag, Mike Minitry, the great job, the constant, how can we help you? What can our team do to support you? Sheriff's Department. Both of these gentlemen came from their weekend. They live out of the area. They were both here immediately. They activated a rescue helicopter in the event that any of our residents were stuck in a wash and at risk of drowning. we had a helicopter, sheriff helicopter, up here to aid in any of those extrications. Fire department, Chief Villarino, battalion chief, Spies, and Travis, they similarly were on top of it. They dispatched the Swift Water Rescue Team. Actually, the Sheriff's Department also did the Swift Water Rescue Team to have those resources on standby if things went south. They have about an hour response time, and they were on top of it. Red Cross, Aaron Fox, Marjorie Smith, and their team, they were out here virtually the entire week contacting residents and understanding how bad it's been impacted, and then what can the Red Cross do. Van Dyke Corporation, Dave and Matt Green, they told our Public Works, anything you need to borrow, any hose, any couplings, go back in the shop, find it, and do what you need to do in order to get that pump up and running. And so they were just talk about incredible community members. And then also Marine Lance Corporal Marbury. He was driving up Adobe Road, and he saw our IT director out there trying to direct traffic kind of futilely, trying to stop people from drowning their cars out in Adobe Road. And he stood directing traffic, talking to people for about 3 hours in full uniform. And so we'll be reaching out to his command staff just to thank him for his dedication. And as you know, people get hit by cars who aren't paying attention. And so it was at some risk to him that he helped out. And then lastly, the San Bernardino County OES, Chris Santa, Dave Davis, Kerry Cruz, and Robert Gonzalez. Incredible, fantastic resources. Those are some of the folks that are helping us navigate. Do we declare? Do we not declare? What are some of the things we do? Next slide, please. And so for the community members that need assistance, I thought we could leave this slide up for a little while. And these have got some phone numbers of organizations that can assist. And so again, I mentioned Team Rubicon. If we can get a yes on their deployment, and I'm hoping we do, I can't promise it because it's outside of my authority, but if we can get Team Rubicon up there, they can help with the mucking out. You call City Hall. We'll put you on a list and contact. Senior Center for Cooling, the Food Pantry, Aging and Adult Services. One of the things we reached out to County OES, and they got some personal hygiene kits. So we have personal hygiene kits that we can give to residents that for free, at no charge. And we also have sandbags, because one of the things that's been interesting is in our constant daily communication with the National Weather Service, one of the things that they had said was, the weather has been so stunningly unpredictable, our models are not working. And so you've got a great team at the National Weather Service, but due to the changing weather patterns, it's very difficult for them to predict like they used to. So anyway, I hope this helps. Does the council have any questions? Okay. Hearing none.
I'll go out of sequence for this one. Yeah, number one, because won't go all the way to the end. Public comment. Tom Ingram? Yeah. I said right? Sir? I didn't read all the rules. You have 3 minutes, so.
Okay, right, I'll be quick then.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about where actually I live, because I don't know what happened in the rest of 29 Palms. I live at the junction of Encelia and Sunny Slope. And I don't know if everyone's aware where Sunny Slope meets Encelia, it's like that, it doesn't go straight across. And we had basically a tsunami came off the other side of Encelia, through my next door neighbour's backyard and through mine, took all the fences. And it seems to me what's happened in that area is the wall that surround, is it the Sunny Vistas, the name of the place? Yeah, that's it. The wall on Sunny Slope on the side of that area stopped the water going straight down that part of the land and came down Sunny Slope, picked up speed, and so it didn't turn and go down in Celia, it came straight across and hit our area of Sunny Slope Drive. And it perhaps when that place was built before, there wasn't a proper environmental impact on what that wall would do. But now we know, and obviously weather is very unpredictable, and so this could happen again, and with weather changes, it probably will happen again. But we feel that my next door neighbour's talking about building a block wall around the back of his house. I'm talking about doing the same down the side of my house. But it seems that we're having to pay out to do walls, which are not our fault. It's the fault of the properties on the other side of Encelia. And when you look at the back of Sunny Slope, the amount of the land that actually slopes is not that great before it turns and goes down the other way. But on the other side of Encelia, it comes down from two directions towards that property. And we suffered badly. Not as bad as the next door neighbours. They were completely wiped out. But then that water continued down over Sunny Slope and down the other properties on Encelia, because that had come across as well. So the water hitting the other properties down in Encelia, had that water somehow, if there was a wall that stopped it from crossing Encelia, it would have gone down the road more than actually going into all those properties. So that's my thoughts on that, and if anyone can come up with a solution to that. Really it does need a wall down Sunny Slope, down in Encelia, from Sunny Slope up to just past where Sunny Slope is on the other side, to direct that next time the water down in Encelia and not into our neighbourhood.
Could we get your contact information so that someone from the city can follow up after?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
very good.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And what, Tom Ingram?
Yes.
INGRAM?
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
And I've actually got video, because I have security cameras. I've got video of the water coming across into the next door neighbour's garden. So
Okay.
So
Very
it's
good.
very obvious. It took out the whole fence between our properties, took out another fence in mine. There was so much water, it took out all the ground underneath the fence on the other side, which flooded the next door neighbour's backyard, not their house. And just the level of water was unbelievable. And I know there's a lot of water everywhere, but I do feel we were overly impacted because of that wall down the other side of Sunny Slope.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, sir. You got all the info, everything you need?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on that.
Yes, I have.
You got everything? All right. Before we move on top of everyone else, thank you from City Hall down, but a lot of our staff members, I want to thank them too, because I know we had a lot of park and rec. I know Ms. Viesquez was in answering phone calls and doing other stuff behind the scenes, so I want to thank you guys too for everything you did. There's a lot of hours, long nights too, getting stuff out at the wee hours of the night as fast as we could, so thank you for that. So moving on to awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations. We have none. City Council. No, public comments at the end. He did one, that's why. So I was, yeah, you're good. Where was I? Council comments and reports of meetings attended. Councilmember Scott?
I just been busy meeting with a lot of constituents that have been affected by the flood. Other than that, nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Wright?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Been a little busy since our last council meeting. I actually did watch the July 4th fireworks in Big Bear, and I can honestly say that compared to 29 Palms, I was highly disappointed. So 29 Palms, you guys are doing a great job with that. So great. And then I also attended the Blessed Sacrament prayer breakfast, and I also attended the 25-year church anniversary of the Gospel Fellowship. And we started Warhawks football training yesterday. We're in our spring training, getting ready for the season. So we still got room for kids, so get them on out there. And I do also want to thank the staff, because they did a fantastic job, battling this thing. And I just thought it was great. And I know it's a lot more people that were, behind the scenes. And the whole time I just thought about, the fact that I was at home taking care of my family. And so, you know, making sure that you guys as family were taken care of, but at the same time, taking care of the community is great and is greatly appreciated. So thank the entire staff, 29 Palms. You guys did a great job. So that's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Mintz?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I also attended the July 4th festival. Was here though, Matt. Not Sky Park. I want to thank the Park and Rec staff. Of course, they always do a great job. They were out there. It was sweltering heat. It was very warm, but they were trying to stay as cool as they could. But it was hot out there. And then obviously the fireworks were put on by the 29 Palms Band and Mission Indians. We appreciate that. The casino up there. And then, let's see, I had some meetings here at City Hall. And then, man, you can't thank staff enough for the professionalism and all the folks that worked very hard during that storm. So it's just one of those things. Mother Nature she can be hard. So, but that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Kling?
Thank you, Mayor. I too attended the Blessed Sacrament Prayer Breakfast, very well attended. I also attended the Morongo Basin Healthcare District, I guess it's budget meeting that they had. Good to hear that they said that there is going to be a new physician in 29 Palms coming in October. So another full-time physician is going to be here in 29 Palms in October. Also, they're building a building behind on Split Rock, and that's going to be a building that if you need urgent care, you'll be able to go in there and get taken care of instead of having to drive all the way to Yucca. So it's good for the people here to know that, but they're right now having a little problem getting it built. So hopefully we can get that straightened out. Let's see. Also, I would like to say happy birthday to all people, all citizens celebrating a birthday in July, which includes Cindy Viazquez, our city clerk, and council member Mintz. Anybody else up here? Okay, so guess what we get to do? Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday
dear
to
Cindy and Danny.
Happy birthday to you.
And all citizens as well. Tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
Oh, all right. And I want to get something straight. I have been hearing rumors and talk about, Joel, are you going to run for city council? Joel, are you not going to run for city council? I am going to put that to rest tonight. I am not going to run for city council because it's time to be done with my job and with the city after 20 years. So I will not be running again, and I just hope that the ones that will be running will put on a good campaign, and so be it.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, drive home crying. Right?
I'll cry on December 7th or 8th, whatever that day is.
All right. I have a lot of notes because I was not here for the last meeting. I was with the All-Star team. I attended the meeting of the quarter, NCO of the quarter for the base at the AYMCA at CMC, giving out certificates and appreciation to another staff NCO for helping the Sheriff's Department. The MSDS barbecue, the blood donor drive. I did not give blood. I chickened out. I'm not going to lie. He was there, so I can't even say anything. He looked at me while he was giving blood, and I was like, don't let the tattoos fool you. I don't like needles, so we're good. Made it to the end of the Juneteenth celebration at Not Sky Park. Also was here for the flag raising on Juneteenth. Had the lucky opportunity to represent 29 Palms at the state softball tournament because we won district. All three teams of softball from 29 Palms won district, so we had a good showing at state. We won one and took our lumps and came home, but we got our summer back. That's good. Good job to all those teams. And the last week, meeting with citizens and I've been driving around doing assessments with Team Rubicon and the city manager. And that is all I got. Anything else for you guys? Nope. Oh, and okay, Scott was my battle buddy a lot of times too.
Oh, thank you. No, I just want to take the opportunity too, just to thank the staff for what they did. It was tremendous work, and I think someone had mentioned. Actually, Dr. James had mentioned like all the different agencies. I heard the National Park Service was out there as well, and so I just want to thank that. That's really what it's about. That's how community comes together during times like this. So thank you.
Yeah, to echo what Councilman Scott, the whole community came involved, all agencies, everything we could do, pick up a shovel. I saw people picking up shovels and just helping their neighbors, which unfortunately a disaster gets to talk to our neighbors, so I hope we spend more time with our neighbors on the good days. And the council, I know you guys are fielding phone calls and dealing with people too, and keeping a smile on your face and being positive, because there's a lot of negatives coming at us because of people's situations, and we're sensitive to them. So thank you guys for doing your stuff behind the scenes with the phone calls.
And we do also have ones that have damage too, so yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
fun.
I got to mine this week, so very good. All right, consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the city council. The public will be given an opportunity to comment on the consent calendar items prior to the city council actions. Council, anything? No? Up to the public. Public. Everyone's happy. Back up here for a motion.
I'll move the consent calendar.
Second.
Third.
I beat him.
Councilmember Mintz,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Aye.
Mayor Buildering.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Come on. Public hearings, number 7, 29 Palms Lighting and Landscape Assessment District 1, confirming assessment and levy assessments for FY 2024-25.
Oh, sorry. Yes, so Mayor, Council, this is an item that had come before you previously, and what occurs is these LLDs, Lighting and Landscape Improvement Districts, they are more or less a micro or a small level community facilities district. That is a financing mechanism that is used in the public service, whereupon in some cases it's homes, in other cases it could be commercial buildings. They agree to an assessment in order to pay for improvements that benefit that particular community. And so about 60 days ago, this item had come before you, and it had talked about it was an evaluation of the costs and the assessments to either really ultimately it's a property owner, whether it be commercial or residential, the assessments that they are accurate in order to pay for the lighting and the landscape. And so this item is a public hearing. This really is a procedural item. If anyone from one of those districts had some sort of concern that they felt that the assessment was either too high or too low, this would be an opportunity for them to come and express their concern about that assessment. Hearing no concerns, this was overseen by our city engineer. That is a professional with about 40 years of experience, and I found his work to be excellent. And so this is an item that, should you approve it this evening, this would go into effect and allow those two areas to continue to receive the services that they have been.
Public? Wait, no questions? Public? Bunch of smiles, all right. Back up here.
You said 18, right, Cindy?
1-8.
All right, well, I make a motion we adopt resolution number 2418, resolution of the City Council in the City of 29 Palms, confirming the diagram and assessment of levying assessment pursuant to the Lighting and Landscaping Act of 1972 for the fiscal year 24-25.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Mintz,
All right.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Aye.
Mayor Buildering.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Number 8, Development Code Amendment Home occupation permits.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to make this very brief. This is another of the long series of Development Code Amendment cleanups that we're conducting. This particular one has to do with home occupation permits. We're cleaning up the language, removing redundant language, and making it consistent with county procedures. And we recommend approval and adoption of the ordinance.
Was there any major changes? I looked through the, didn't look like there was anything major anybody needs to really
No.
be aware of.
I make a motion that the project be exempt from CEQA and that we adopt ordinance approving the Development Code Amendment.
I second.
Councilmember Mintz,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Aye.
Mayor Buildering.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Number 9, Development Code Amendment, Article 4, Part 1.
Yes, this is another of the cleanups of our development code. We've discovered some inconsistent language in the first part of Article 4, which has to do with development standards, and we are doing a bunch of cleanup in a bunch of different sections there. We don't anticipate any that this will affect. That this is a lot of significant changes, so we're hoping that. We're recommending that the city council adopt the resolution and adopt the ordinance and approve the project.
I guess same question. I read through there. I didn't see anything major changes. There's all look like just language.
It's all language.
Okay, thank you.
Open to public? Nope. Back up here for motion.
I make a motion that we find the project exempt from CEQA and adopt the ordinance approving the Development Code Amendment.
Second.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Mintz,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Aye.
Mayor Buildering.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Discussion and potential action items. Number 10, new national opium settlement with Kroger Company.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss this. This is actually going to be a brief and straightforward item. As you all may know, individuals who have been impacted by the opioid crisis, this item tonight is as a result of litigation that has occurred against the Kroger Company. And ultimately, it was argued that Kroger could have done more to flag inappropriate or excessive prescription activity. And of course, that inappropriate or excessive prescription activity ultimately led to injury and or death. And so in the past, the City Council has chosen to participate in these lawsuits and receive funds from these settlements. Unfortunately, in this settlement, the amount is de minimis. They anticipate $1,700 coming from this, and this is because while it's a $1.2 billion settlement, the state of California gets approximately 10% of that settlement. The state, some stays with the state, some goes with statewide abatement, other goes to county or city levels. And so ultimately, staff is suggesting that the council go ahead and approve this and allow that the funds that we would have received go to the county for countywide opioid abatement issues. This would relieve a significant accounting burden on the city. If we were to take in that money, we would have to do an awful lot of accounting for it. And again, since it's such a de minimis amount, it is staff's recommendation that we let those funds go to the county due to the benefits that we receive from the county. Any questions?
Council? Public? Nope. Back up here. Motion.
I make a motion that we go ahead and put our money into the county of $1,711.10.
Second that.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Mintz,
All right.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Aye.
Mayor Buildering.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Number 11. Is that you again?
Sir, this was something that I had put on the agenda this evening in the event that there was something that I needed to take to council, like an emergency declaration or something that came up from last week over the weekend to tonight due to the 72-hour required notice. So at this time, there is nothing that I need to have the council formally take action on, and so we can just go ahead and skip this.
All right. Yes.
Those of you that filled out a public comment form addressing item number 11, we're just going to go ahead and put you in public comment with everyone else, okay?
Future council initiated items. All right, public comments. This is the time for the public to address the city council on issues within the jurisdiction of the city council that are not on this agenda. All comments are to be directed to the city council and shall not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during their comments. There is a time limitation of 3 minutes per person. If you have already done so, please fill out the name and address slips and give it to the city clerk. The city council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included in the printed agenda. Public comments on specific agenda items will be deferred until consideration of the item on the agenda. First up. Mary Feinstein? Firestein? Got it, sorry.
I've lived here since 1983, and I live on Daisy off of Encilia over by the cemetery. Sunday, my house was destroyed. It got damaged. My ex-husband's home, also who lives over on Mojave off of Lupine, was destroyed. He had to tear his carpet up, everything. I know you guys worked hard, but I feel there could have been more, because I came in, I called Sunday on my insurance, of course it's not covered. Then Monday morning came down, I called city, gave them my name, my number, and they said they'd get in touch with me. Never heard anything. I came down Tuesday, and I just wanted phone numbers that I could call to get help. We can't wait. When you're flooded and your carpet's destroyed, your walls are destroyed, you can't wait. I didn't get a call from anybody until yesterday morning. That was a week and 1 day. Saying, does your house need to be mucked out? Does your carpet need to be taken out? We can't wait. And if you got medical problems, people cannot do that. The mold, the spores, everything start. So I took upon myself, and people in the community, our neighbors that are behind me, other neighbors, we all pitched in and helped each other. And I think a little bit more reaching out to us people would have helped and taken some ease off of us, instead of us always calling and us always having to come down here and say, hey, what can we do? And on the pictures that city manager had, he had none of the pictures of our area, and there was not just a few homes in this area that got hit, like the newspapers and everybody has been saying. I got 10 houses on my street. I've got Encilia behind me that has been completely destroyed. My ex-husband's area looks like a war zone. With the dirt and everything. Yeah, the mud that has been brought in from the storm. I mean, yes, I've lived here 61 years in the desert. It's unpredictable. There's no way you can predict anything with them. And I just felt that in my area, we have had problems throughout the year with getting flooded because of the property. You have the cemetery. on the west side, and on the south side of the cemetery is nothing but land that was been graded years ago. All that water has came and rerouted and came right into Samarkand and right into our homes. So a berm needs to be put up there. Something needs to be put up in Ciliad to keep our homes from doing this.
Yes, ma'am.
That, and then also in the alleyways in our area, we have alleyways between the back parts of the homes. It's a natural runoff, plus it was an easement, because back in '83, they had it used for the telephone poles, the water mains were in the back of the alley, and the cable company had to run through all of that. We were told when we put our fence up, we could not go to that point of that middle of that alleyway because that was an easement and it was a runoff. So we brought our fence in. But now we have all kinds of people back up there that have taken fence and put them up against people's fence. They're on other people's properties, but nothing's being done about it. I have called code enforcement. And I know a lot of people on our blocks have called code enforcement.
And that changes the natural runoff
Of the water.
Yes.
15-foot easement that water runs through back behind the alleyway. They take a fence and they put it away, and now you got a 2-foot, 3-foot easement. That water builds up and it floods down where it naturally doesn't run off.
I mean,
And there's houses there that have put fences across that block the water and makes a pool, and what happens is a dam. When a dam breaks, it comes down to that area, and it never floods down that way. It floods
Okay.
into the neighborhood.
Okay, we have your information. We'll have more conversation on this. 'Cause
I hope you
we already
guys
have-
reach out to us.
We will. We had, yes, I
I know
understand
you've
your
talked to a
concern.
few.
Yes, okay.
Okay,
And one more thing, Red Cross came around, what was it,
Yeah.
Saturday? And they were asking questions.
last Saturday.
And the thing about it is, the guy he was more worried about, was there wind? It was like, okay, the wind wasn't the problem was the flooding. They didn't get out and go and check the houses, they didn't go out and check anything, they just stood in their car, and I had to show him a picture of my phone, he's like, oh, do you have the picture of the wind in there? The video? I'm like, yeah, here's the video, but the flooding part, that's the problem.
Understood.
So he was like,
It was like, oh, okay,
And he
goodbye,
kinda laughed it off.
Gotcha.
and left. They didn't even,
Yeah.
it's just,
Sorry
yeah.
for that.
It was like he wasn't briefed on what exactly happened. He was
Okay.
like, oh, was there hell? I was like, yeah, there was hell
Hell.
there. There was big damage hell.
Gotcha. We'll be in touch as soon, tomorrow. I will call you tomorrow to have this
I
conversation.
would appreciate
Okay.
that, thank you.
You're welcome. Next, Terrence Latimer.
Hello, City Councilman. Thank you for the time. I have a prepared statement. Carrie Williams from Women of Color Global and Councilman Scott of the 4th District recently brought an opportunity that I believe is particularly relevant now to the City Council. This project involved applying for a grant to develop an emergency services center in the city. The recent flash floods and the resulting damage to both public and private properties have highlighted the current gaps in our emergency services and disaster relief resources. While the situation has been challenging for everyone, especially considering the property damage and economic losses, excuse me, it also underscores the urgent need for action. I think that we now have a compelling reason to leverage this moment to unify our efforts and resources for a successful grant application. Given that the City of Coachella has recently submitted their application, I urge our local City Council to prioritize this initiative and push it across the finish line as soon as possible. Thank you so much for your attention and commitment to improving our city's emergency response capabilities.
Thank you. Oh, man. Whose phone number ends with 4916? All right. I wasn't even gonna try to attempt that.
My name's Yatish.
If I knew it was you, I could have said your name, but I
Okay.
didn't know it was you.
Thank,
Gotcha.
it's all good. You know, it was great to see the community come together and help one another, but there were some gaps in that as well too. I saw that there were private property owners that actually contributed to some of this disaster. You know, I live on Highway 62, which is the main artery of 29 Palms. When that closes down, the whole city closes down. And when travelers come through, they don't even know where to go because we didn't even have detour signs. One traveler today, he was on a motorcycle. He said, "How do I cross 62 to go to my hotel on the other side of town?" Luckily, I knew enough street names to tell him how to get there. But this kind of disaster that happens is going to plague us with the type of weather pattern changes that are going to happen. And if we don't prepare to hold some of these private landowners accountable, because Highway 62 has a very big sand hill on it. That sand hill has been there since I moved into the city 22 years ago. It's never been a problem until they started developing on that hill. And then someone put a retention pond right by a highway. And it started overflowing onto the highway. Caltrans was there today taking pictures and said they're going to fine that private landowner for bringing water onto the highway. In fact, people could have died because of that, because of recklessness when it comes to development. When we developed in 29 Palms, we were held to a very high standard. But I see it's being relaxed, and even other owners are getting affected because there's faceless corporations coming in that don't even stay in town. They don't maintain their properties, and they rely on the community and us, the people, to clean up their mess. Even Caltran, the guy at Caltran was very nice. He was all like, "I can't believe this. We're cleaning the highway for the second time because a retention pond of a big global entity is not there to be held responsible." And nobody really cares because they don't get affected. Stater Brothers got affected, but they weren't affected because they were on top of the hill. I know there's a law in California that says you have a responsibility, a duty of care to make sure your water doesn't go onto your onto another property and damage it. So I think you, as a city council, as a community, need to start holding these private landowners responsible. If you're not going to develop on your land, but you're going to keep that dirt there, and it's going to come onto our highway and block our economic areas, you should pay the bill, not the community.
Good. Susan Piplo.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. I need to condense some things because I was supposed to have 2 items, so I have to squish it together. I'll just start to mimic and echo the great work of city staff, community members, citizens that came in. You had like Eli's brother-in-law that was out plowing roads for donations or just for free, youth members from out of town and other communities, Marines, endless groups of people banded during this time. I know you're aware of many of them. In regards to how to fix what's going on, I don't think that there is a great fix. I don't think we have a direct line with Mother Nature, so that's going to be a problem. I was actually affected. I have 2 houses on Chia that are on the south side, both of which were affected. One was an interior flooding, 2 yards completely annihilated. Yet I have no fault of the city council or the city works or public works for what has happened. I think it's just the nature of the beast, and where does that leave us now? The character of Chocolate Drop has changed. It rained today. I got my wellies on because I had to go back out there. The water is flooding. It flooded neighbors that got dug out in the last 2 days. It flooded 2 of our properties again today. Again, no fault of the city. The only thing I can think of to potentially help mitigate this would be to berm, similar to what we've had to do in other neighborhoods. 20 years ago, Indian Cove didn't used to have berms either. And when we put them in, it was a real hassle because you couldn't open your car door anymore because they're so tall. But it saved our houses in Indian Cove. The water today during the rains on the cross streets, east-west streets, the water level is actually higher than the berms that are there now, like on El Paseo, for instance, but it's something to try to contain it into the streets. These infill lots are now washes that are just moving water and dirt. Clearly, the city cannot do anything on private property. You cannot mandate people to go and plow their empty lot that they've owned for 35 years, that they paid $2,000 for. So I wouldn't expect other community members to feel that that's your responsibility. But what may be your responsibility or an option would be keep it to the streets, berm it, do the best you can to move the water away. Something else, I'll try to be brief on this one. Great job on the haul-offs. I've been monitoring that. I think a step further, again, you couldn't have predicted what was going to happen here. I think actually by neighborhood community pickup is a good alternative. So people don't have to haul to the haul-offs. A lot of communities, neighborhoods in various towns do like quarterly pickups. Obviously, we're not going to be able to like change our franchise agreement with Burtec now, since we just did it like with an extension a couple months ago, but perhaps special circumstances to do just bulk pickup in these impacted neighborhoods.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robin Schlossler?
Hi, City Council, Mr. Mayor. I've been here 30 years in 29 Palms, and when I moved here from a community up in Northern California, we learned up there that we had to be pretty self-sufficient. I went through the Loma Prieta Quake, and I lived in a canyon, and we got sucked in that canyon for 30 days because the roads fell. So when you come to 29 Palms, I see the same kind of spirit because people there pull together in disasters, and I really appreciate the people here in 29 Palms because you can't predict these kind of storms. You know, the storm that was mentioned earlier where people got killed on Split Rock, that was my friend that got washed away and her fiance. I was here for that. I was here when a microburst hit the 29 Palms and took out 14 power poles from Adobe Road all the way up to 2 Mile. And Councilmember Klink and Councilmember Mintz, they were all out here with ice trucks and they were driving door to door passing out water and ice because that was July and it was 115 degrees out. I was here again for this storm. We can't predict these storms. The only thing we can do is prepare as much as we possibly can and then pick up the pieces afterwards because we can't control it. I wanted to say that I wanted to really commend the city. I want to commend the staff. I want to commend everybody because you all pulled together. I know you've been working 24 hours a day. I mean, I know that sleep has been a very precious commodity for all of you. I know the people out there on Adobe Road underwater trying to fix those pipes. I would like to know, the people that ran over the fire hydrant and sheared off that T-valve, are they going to be charged for those damages? Because I don't think the people of 29 Palms should pay for that because that was, that was their stupidity that caused all that damage and it really added to a bad situation. But I want to say thank you. I mean, from my heart to all of you for a job well done. And I want to say thank you to the people of 29 Palms for coming together and always having the spirit to look out for each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Firestein?
I'd like to say, well, thank you for the city, what you've done. But my thing is, when you do things to protect your property, and you do it within the regulations of the city, and when somebody can go up 3 houses and come out and block the thing that you done in the limit, you know, the limits of what the city requires, and we go to council, and, you know, and code enforcement, and they don't do nothing. That's what caused my flood over there on Daisy. That's what caused our Claires down here to lose their house. And then guess what? The people are back there building the fences back again, just like nothing to it. Okay, we have another rain, all it's gonna do is flood worser my place, the other houses, okay? You know, code enforcement can go out there and say, wait, you know, why? They're getting 10 foot more of land. It don't belong to them, okay? Your property line, I had a mark on mine. You know, I built my retainer wall back there, did what I was supposed to, but when somebody goes up there 3 houses up and blocks the other people and floods and starts coming down through there, what? How do we stop it? That's what I want to know. We're talking about putting another retainer wall in our neighbors, or real good neighbors. Now we're going to flood their house if it comes down through there. So how do we stop it? If we can't keep our alleyways clear where water's supposed to run, we let people go out there and build fences, throw couches in them, everything. How are we going to stop it? We can put berms and everything up, but see, the thing of it is, we got to clean our own backyard. Our city council, whoever's got to go out and check these areas and say, this is a natural runoff. You can't block it, okay? We can put berms in, but water comes down through, it's still going to get people. My house over there on 6230 Mojave Avenue, that's flat land over there. Nobody thought that was going to happen. My fence healed up a lot, okay? So all I'm going to do, I can't really do nothing about that, you know, unless we figure out something. But the house over on Daisy, that house was caused by people blocking water, and the city knowed it, and it didn't do nothing about it, okay? I've talked to Joe before, when we used to be a farmer insurance agency, okay? And the thing of it is, we don't do it. The alleyways, people don't clean them out. You drive around and see what our city looks like. People throw couches out in the alleyways, nothing's said. You know, it's bad. You know, this used to be a beautiful city. It's getting worse and worse and worse because nobody cares, and it's going to get worse, okay? And, you know, I used to love it, you know. I keep a neat yard, you know, just bought my, you know, thing of it is, we got to clean our own backyard. But when we got no support from the city council, you know, go down, check things, and say, hey, this is not legal. I got a ticket one time, $50 for parking on the street, and I pulled halfway in my driveway. I went to city council, and he said, you're parked on the wrong side of the street, okay? Look how many cars we got parked wrong, junk sitting on the streets, okay? You know, I'm getting off the subject a little bit, but we got to clean our own backyard first, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And my thing is, there's a house over there that I reported. I had a bus sitting on another property. The city, okay, and called the city commissioner. They got trash out in the yard. They still do. They just put it out there. It might have got flooded again. They push it across the road over there on another property, okay? And, you know, that's just more that contributes to building up water where it can't go. But the thing of it is, we got to clean our own backyard in the city.
Yes, sir.
We got to clean these runways. The second thing I got.
Sir, your 3 minutes are up, but we'll call. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll call you too, sir. We'll talk more. Deanne Maria Margaret Greer.
Good evening, Mayor, Pro Tem, and Council. My name is Deanna Marie Margaret Greer. I live on Chia Avenue, where Sunny Slope and Gregonio run parallel. I was one of the homes that was affected during the monsoonal storm, okay? I participate in the 29 Palms Adopt a City Street program. So I'm actually here today to ask for a grace period as we're kind of just trying to get things realigned, for a lack of a better words here. We're all going through it, and I'm also asking too that we I'm listening to other people in the community. I've talked to numerous other people. I've listened to people. And so I'm trying to see, is there a way that we can somehow call a leadership meeting for those individuals who have already become a part of the Adopt a City Street program? If there's a way for us to be able to have an appointed time where we can all kind of brainstorm, and then maybe there can be a little bit of relief for the city hall as far as just everyone bringing this industry. We all have big energy. We are all passionate about our homes. My whole roof got knocked off, and my fence and my water line got taken out. So I know the passion behind that. It's your home. It's where you reside at. And I love this city. And I feel some of the same things too as far as the junk on the back end of the street. There's a lot of things that are going on within our community. However, we're not going to get those things rectified in the victim mode, which the flood did happen to us. So I'm not there to knock anybody off their horse that this happened to me. They really did happen, but we're going to have to kind of step into our first person character. And as ourselves, we need to decide what can we do. Everybody's not there. Everybody's damage is totally different. So what I'm asking for is for us to be able to have those individuals who feel ready to thrive, who feel ready to put their brains together as a leader, a space and a place and a time for us to put our brains together, our hearts together too, a place for us to be able to connect and restore the care, the comfort, the order, the leadership, and the diplomacy that is needed within this community so that we can be able to thrive. We have a great city here, and we have a lot of money on the table for tourism and things of that nature, but tourists don't spend time and money in ghost towns, and they don't spend time and money in towns that feel distressed. You can feel the essence when you interact with people. So if we can have those people who feel ready, that's just my ask. And again, the main thing is for that grace period as we kind of just regroup and see what we can do, a grace period for those of us who participate in the program for the month of August at least, and also for July. I typically participate and do twice a week on Chia Avenue, just keeping our streets clean, but this is a different level of cleanup. It's not just picking up trash here. So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Claire Walters?
I'm gonna be here so you can see me.
She'll use her teacher voice.
I moved to 29 Palms in 1991, and in 1995 we bought a home on Daisy Avenue by the cemetery. Since that time, my house, I don't know if the property line of what you call it, but my house aligned with every single house in the neighborhood. And when the rain were coming during that time, the historical runoff was the 18, and what's 18 is 18 feet between the first house and the back of the other house. And how do I know? Because I went and I measured that. I measured 3 different streets, and all of them have 18 feet between this house, this fence, and this fence. And that was the runoff of the water. What happened in the past, I don't know, 5-6 years? My house has become the dumping water. Some of the pictures that the manager is showing here, where you have a lot of mud, I invite you to come to my house. Mr. Keith came to my house and he saw the amount of sand that I have in there. Today when the rain came, my house is like a bowl because all that sand is all over and I don't have a way. I would like Rubicon to come and grade my yard. I spent $1,000 for the water running off behind my backyard, and a hole. Actually, Mr. Keith saw also that hole. I was promised that somebody is going, well, no, I was not promised. He said that he was gonna try to get somebody to come and help over
Engineers.
there. But like Ms. Mary says, I cannot wait for people. Rain is coming. We are in the monsoon time. And if I left my house in the condition that it was, again, my house will be the dumping floor of the water of my neighborhood. And that needs to be changed. I spent $1,000 just to fill that hole that was in my house. I think enough is enough. Last year, we almost got the water entering into my house. And my neighbors came testify, because I have seen it, that every single time that we have a rain, the water goes to my house. Don't go to the next house or to the next. Stops into my house and go through there. Part of it, I don't know, neighbors in the back have the property right to do that. I don't know, but I would love for you guys to send a surveyor and check out where in 1955, what was that line? Miss Mary said in here that that she was told that when we are okay, and the other one is the easement for whatever, for the running flow. I want the city to do it because if we try to do it, it's gonna cost almost $4,000. I don't have the money to pay it, especially because it's not only my property that it is. There's other people that are building in that easement. So please do something. Enough is enough. Year after year, my house is flooding, and my house is not a dumping water for the city.
All right, thank you. Are you Douglas Walters?
I am.
You're next.
Thank you very much.
We got your email, correct?
Yes.
You have my email? Yes.
Yes, and in that email there you saw the pictures
Yes.
of what was happening, and it kind of describes what my wife was saying. There's also a link to where a folder, which I'm hoping you'll be able to click into and watch the video, of security footage of, in just literally minutes, we had that massive storm come in and dump everything on it. And our property becomes a focal point of a funnel where things just get stopped. There's drone video that is in there where we went over the cemetery. They built a 5-foot berm on the back of their property and put a V channel down towards Encilia, and that just creates a freeway of water just gushing through there. It became a river. And unfortunately, that points at a 45-degree angle at my house. And unfortunately, again, there's that water flow that it has been disrupted. Before, it used to go down Summercand? Yeah. It used to go down Summercand and then out down the flood area. But now it's being diverted down onto Encilia and all the other homes that are being impacted by that. Inside that email that I sent you, there's a link to the public work from the San Bernardino County. On that, on part 2, it talks about a drain easement, and it talks about that you're not able to divert water from the natural course flow. And that's what we're having happen. We've heard it over and over again that people are doing these things. And they're required in some of these places to have retention ponds. The cemetery does not have a retention pond anywhere on that property. And so again, if they would be following the law, we would not be having this issue. There are people that are held responsible, and I understand that there's a PSA coming out soon talking about the liability that owners have, that when damages come from your property onto someone else's property, you're financially responsible for that damage. And according to the public, the website that you guys have for code enforcement is supposed to do all federal, state, county, and city ordinances. I hate to say this, someone's falling down here. And I'm not pointing any fingers, but I'm going to tell you, I'm tired of year after year having floods coming into my property. We built a $5,000 fence, retaining wall that lasted only about 2.5 minutes once that flood water came across. And I have ways for it to go out of my property to end to the street like I'm supposed to. But when I have millions of gallons of water coming through my property, no matter how big my ditches are, 1 million gallons coming off the back of that property, there's nothing I can do. That water should have gone down between the properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Pip, I found your other one. You good? Okay. And then Vino.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council Member Scott, Keith Gardner, and Vanessa for visiting my hotels to see the damage done. In fact, the fire department and the police staff saw my property and said they think it was the worst damaged property in the city. My damage has been caused by poor planning and irresponsible neighbors who failed to do the correct construction and lacked maintenance of water runs. Mayor Pro Tem and Council Member Danny Mintz, if you recall, Around 2013, I stood here in the same room, same place, and addressed my concern I had in regards to the development on the north side of my property to take the preventive measures with proper construction, since we are known to have the flash flood drains and my property was low-lying. You rejected my input and voted against my concerns. I do not come here as a negative Nancy. I do have better things to do in life. I come here to give constructive input in the best interest of the community. In this flash flood, if it was not for my youngest son, many lives could have been lost, including 3 of my family members. Some elders needed to be physically carried to the second floor due to rising waters. Our code compliance should be visiting properties for upkeep rather than harassing business owners for someone parking in their vacant lot. Our city has lost millions of dollars of taxpayers' money and city resources. I hope the city would go after those who fail to maintain their property. Thank you.
Thank you. City manager's update.
Thank you, Mayor. So I've got a number of items. I think probably the most germane, I'll go out of order here, the most germane is I appreciate the Walters comments about the public utility easements that are commonly found behind homes within the community. And last week I had reached out to the city attorney's office to find out our ability to enforce encroachments onto that public utility easement. And I'm waiting for the response. Given the comments here this evening, I'll reach back out to them tomorrow to find out, is there a way that we have that authority or can get that authority to enforce those easements? Because I can hear and feel the issue here. Next thing is that I also wanted to mention is the National Park Service. National Park Service did an outstanding job on that Sunday responding. They provided law enforcement personnel to help us direct traffic and to avoid really ultimately car accidents or potentially fatal car accidents given the speeds in which cars travel on 62 and given the high incidence of hydroplaning between Mesquite Springs and Necelia. There's an awful lot of washing, just natural washing that goes on there. And the National Park Service made themselves available, dispatched their people, and I just wanted to acknowledge their contributions. And they have been on standby for any additional help. So they really are a part of the resource partners that helped us make our response as solid as it was. One of the things that the city staff is working on is coming up with a local assistance center, a LAC. Not that we need more acronyms in life, but this local assistance center, the intention of this is to bring together under one roof, and Miss Robin over at the Senior Center has been so kind as to volunteer her facility for several hours. We're working on identifying a time next week, and the goal here is to bring as many resources that we believe the community could need. Could that mean a professional from the insurance industry to help them navigate filling out insurance? Could that be a physical and mental health professional from the Brago Health Center? I've been interacting with Miss Beverly over there. She's been incredible trying to get us the resources. So ultimately, we are working on putting that together. Our goal was to have that this Thursday, but unfortunately, due to the staff, we just can't multitask. And so we are now targeting next week to stand that up. And then depending on how many people are able to attend, if we need to do another, we'll do that. But we are working on that. One thing I also wanted to talk about was Burtec. They had reached out to me the other week on July 12th, exactly 30 days in advance, saying that they need to go ahead and issue a schedule change for the pickup of trash cans in our city. I asked them just given the circumstances, there a way we can get 6 weeks of notice? And by virtue of all of the changes that they're implementing, and I believe that they're implementing a dual truck, where one truck will pick up the 2 different barrels and put them in 2 different compartments, so that they have requested, hey, we need to start this on August 12th. So Burtech is going to be sending out several mailers. I'm going to be working with city staff in order to put this out over our social media. Burtech will communicate with the residents on which days their trash pickup will be moved to. And in a situation where someone is afraid of missing a trash pickup for a week, what Burtech has assured me that they will do is they will offer that person 2 pickups. So let's say historically their pickup might have been Thursday, but they're being moved to Monday. They're going to offer a pickup on Monday and on the Thursday. So long story short, that is something that is coming down the pike. I think that that's something that we all can manage. One of the things that I have been monitoring with Burtech is the status of the roll-off bins. I appreciate how great the community has been with putting construction debris in those roll-off bins. Should hazard material been put in there, paints, oils, gasoline, stuff like that, that would kind of in effect suspend our ability to have those, because that contaminates the load and makes it extremely problematic. So one of the things that we have seen is these 40-yard trash bins are being filled up very quickly. And I've asked that Burtech increase the speed in which those things are being picked up. When I took Burtech on a tour, when Miss Benton and myself took Burtech on a tour the other day, we were brainstorming on other things that we can do to help the community. Could that be having a front loader go around, pick up stuff, put it in the trash bin? Don't know yet, but we're trying to be more creative on how we can provide a better level of service for the community to help them through these very difficult times. And then there was one bit of good news on a staff member, but I think I'll share that for the next council meeting. So with that, that concludes my city manager comments.
All right, thank you. Council, any last words? All right. Got a lot of negatives. I understand it. You're not on deaf ears. We hear you. We're going to learn from these incidences and hopefully improve. That's all we can tell you we're going to do is improve. At all the negatives, a positive is we did not lose any lives in this storm. So I think that's the number one thing. We were all happy that didn't happen, and now we're moving on to this next phase of trying to help people understand what we need to do and what needs to happen. So we're in that phase right now, and you're not on deaf ears. We hear you. Can't promise you nothing, but we can promise you we're going to try to figure out means to fix things. So that's all we can. That's all I can say. That's what I'm saying. I'm not speaking for the council, but that's coming from me. We've been burning the candle at both things, trying to figure out how could we have saved this. We're learning now. And the next storm, we could put all these implemented things that we're talking about now into place. And the next storm, we'll do something different, and we'll be sitting here doing this again, learning again, and hopefully improving again. So thank you for your patience. Thank you. I know you're frustrated. We're frustrated. Our homes are also just devastated too, but we're here to serve the community first, so that's what we're going to do. So, and whatever helps the community is going to help us. So this is a big circle. So we thank you. More storms are most likely coming, so our eyes are watching and our ears are open. So I'll be contacting some of you later tomorrow. And that's anyone else? Nope.
Can I say one other thing?
Yep.
And just to let the community know that sandbags can be a very effective method of helping divert water. We've got a limited supply of sandbags here at City Hall. The fire department just down the road, they have an awful lot of sandbags, and so I would encourage you to go out there and grab some, especially at the fire department. And so that resource, and of course then, again, the hygiene kits are also available. Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good weekend. Meeting adjourned.